Hey everybody, wanted to do a quick shop update. This will be the first Four Fields Furniture shop update. Just wanted to start kind of regularly sharing what I'm working on, even if I'm not going to do a build video, which I am going to try and do some more of those coming up here. And it's kind of cool. This is January, so I started my business, Four Fields Furniture, 1 year ago. So this is officially 1 year in business, and we did 53 custom pieces this year. So I'm pretty proud of that. It was a lot of fun, and I learned a ton. So I'm also going to be moving to a new building, moving to a new shop and getting all that set up. So I'm going to have some videos of that. So for that reason, I kind of wanted to do a little walkthrough and show how this shop got set up in terms of, building furniture, and talk a little bit about that, show some of the new tools I picked up over the course of the year to build the style of furniture that I build. And then I'll throw a video of the new space on the end of this so you can see a little clip of what it looks like in the rough state before we start working on it. So I live in Minnesota, for anybody that doesn't know, and having a heated spot to park your car is really nice, so you don't have to scrape your windows. So this part of the shop is a little bit of storage, but for the most part I don't really consider it part of the shop because for the majority of the time there's a car parked here. So things over here, this is a little less than 600 square feet that's basically dedicated to furniture all the time. I just want to walk through a few of the different sections, how things are set up, and talk a little bit about the machines and whether I'm happy with them and that kind of thing. But I got this welding table. Anybody that's getting into fabrication, I seriously think this is like the biggest thing that you can get, or biggest thing you can purchase to improve what you're building. Getting a flat level welding table made a huge difference towards being able to build things quickly and making them repeatable. It was hands down the best fabrication related purchase I've ever made. So I'm very, very happy with that. It actually also doubles as my outfeed table for the table saw. I just put a little roller stand in between this gap. I can still walk all the way around, and it works out pretty well. I occasionally do glue ups on here. I'm a little embarrassed to say there's glue on this table. I really hate that, and I need to sand that down and get it cleaned up, but I've been a little busy. So another thing I wanted to mention, people have asked me about the strong hand 3-axis clamps. Another option to those, which is a little bit more affordable, these are called True Angles. There's a guy on Instagram that makes these, and you just basically take the tubing in here and you clamp it with the vice grips. It's kind of another good option, and I like these things quite a bit actually. So if you Google it, I think you can find True Angles. I'm not sure if he's still making them, but if you can, they're definitely another option towards that type of jig. Let's see here, a few other machines. Just picked up a Grizzly mortiser. I'm getting into doing some wooden bases, not just steel bases for my pieces of furniture. And I'm really enjoying doing a little bit more of that traditional woodworking type stuff. So hopefully there's some projects coming down the road, and I think you'll see a few of the different machines that are more targeted towards getting more woodworking capabilities. Not saying you have to get a Festool, but if you're making tabletops, a track saw of some type is very, 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 very nice. I love the track saw setup. I know Makita makes one. I think DeWalt might make one. Grizzly makes one now. There might be a few other ones, but I've been very happy with this Festool. And if you're making big panels, doing live edge stuff, I think that's a really nice thing to have. I recently just switched away from a radial arm saw and went to this sliding compound miter. I'm actually a fan of radial arm saws. Some people don't like them, but if I'm doing a ton of cuts for a job, I found it was a little tiring to use the radial arm saw because you have to kind of fight against the blade a little bit, and it wants to like bind up sometimes. So I went with this option because it's got a pretty good cut capacity, it's accurate, it's quick, and once I actually get around to plumbing dust collection, it should be okay on dust collection. This is another thing too, I haven't seen anybody else do a saw set up on their extension table for their extension wing for their table saw. For a small shop, and for how I use my, for the pieces I'm building, I don't cut a lot of sheet goods. I'm pretty happy with this setup. I like having it on there. I'll probably build a miter station in the new shop, but it is an option I came up with after not wanting to dedicate wall space to a miter station. Speaking of that, I need to upgrade my dust collector. This dust collector is okay. but it does not have enough power. I also don't have it plumbed, and I'm not going to plumb this shop because I'm moving, but I think I'll keep this one for maybe hand tools and just have one as a vacuum or whatever, as long as I have it, because I got it for like, I don't know, it was pretty cheap. I think I got the whole thing for like 70 bucks or something, maybe 90 bucks. So it's better than nothing, but I'll be upgrading that. This is my first bandsaw I've ever gotten. It actually just got delivered and I just unboxed it. So it's a Laguna 1412. I have some designs that I want to do for trestle tables with a wooden base instead of metal. And I'm looking forward to being able to use this in some of those projects. So I'm looking forward to get that set up here soon. A couple other woodworking pieces of equipment. This Unisaw has been great. I'm really happy with it. You can get them pretty cheap. They do a really nice cut. If you have a good blade and a zero clearance insert, I've been very, very happy. I do all my tables glue line rips on here, and I've only had one issue with this saw. It's a 3-phase machine that stepped down to run on single phase, and for the first time it actually overheated on me yesterday after making a bunch of cuts. I think that is entirely my fault. I have bad dust collection, and the motor was all caked in wood dust, so I think the motor overheated, which I'm a little irritated with myself about that. But I blew it off, let it cool down. I've done some things to change how that's set up, and I think it's going to be fine going forward, but I'll keep you guys posted on that. It is an older machine, but I've been very happy with the accuracy. Speaking of older machines, this is my 8-inch joiner. It's a Delta Milwaukee Crescent. I could be wrong on this, but I think it's a 1949 based on the numbers. But if anybody can tell, just looking at this, or if they can verify for sure how I can tell the year. I've looked at the numbers I can find on the tag and checked out a couple of forums, and they just give you ranges based on the serial numbers, and it looks to me like the serial number range is in the 1949-ish year. So, because I think there was some changes where like you're not going to see anything during World War II from what I understand, and I don't know, I'm not an expert on it, but it's kind of cool to think that that's a pretty old machine, and for me it works well. Also step down to single phase, and it does double as a workbench or storage. This is something that I picked up, and I'm happy with it, but I'm not as happy with it as I thought I would be. This is a Shopfox horizontal metal cutting bandsaw. It's very accurate, but it's slow in my opinion. At least I'm slow using it. Prior to this, I used a chop saw. I think my plan is in the new shop, I'm gonna get a metal cutting blade for my abrasive chop saw over there, and probably build a station to use that to cut all my tubing instead of this horizontal bandsaw. I'll probably use the bandsaw if I'm cutting 45s because it's pretty accurate for that, and it also doubles in the upright position as a metal cutting bandsaw, which I've used a lot more often than I thought I would. So I think what I'll do is I'll build a better table. So I have a table option that, you know, you can cut here and then just have it set up where you can pop that off, and if I need to make a cut I can, but I'm deciding more and more that I'm going to not use this machine as the primary tubing cutter. Let's see what else here. You know, just toolboxes, normal tools. I do have a Domino that I'm happy with as well. These Japanese saws. This is nice. This is nice to have for some detailed options if you just need to make a small cut. I don't have a nice set of push saws yet, you know, like tenon or dovetail saws. As I get more into the hand tool work, which I hopefully will, I plan on getting that kind of thing. I'd like to get into some hand cut dovetails eventually, and I've just kind of been trying to build my skills ahead of the commission jobs that I'm getting, so that when I get the opportunity for a commission for that type of job, it's not just, you know, never having done it before and learning on the fly, which does occasionally happen. Actually, it happens quite a bit. And I think that's actually something that people don't expect to have with custom projects. You're always going to have somebody that wants something with their custom project that is a little bit different than what you've done before. So that is definitely interesting. I also picked up my first Lee Nielsen chisel just recently, and this thing, I love this thing. So I'm kind of looking forward to slowly building the supply of my hand tools up, as well as my planes. I found the planes are actually really, I can plane a tabletop pretty flat pretty quickly. So sometimes if I don't want to run something to a time saver service, I'll hit it with the plane if I'm not off too much. But I'll just give you a quick shot of the two jobs that I have going right now. Actually, there's one other thing I wanted to mention. Anybody who's doing furniture, fabrication, and woodworking, if you get the chance to get a factory cart, absolutely get one. If you can, get one lighter than this. This thing is ridiculously heavy duty, and it's actually too heavy to easily load into your truck. I have loaded into the truck by myself before, but it's really freaking heavy. But it's great though, if you have freight deliveries coming and you have to pull it up a driveway or whatever, just wheeling stuff around the shop. I use it as an assembly table. It's nice to have. You can also store lumber on there with some, put some stickers down and store lumber on there and wheel it anywhere you want in the shop. So if you can get a smaller and lighter one of this, I would highly recommend it. I've been surprised how often that's come in handy. I actually plan to push this out of the shop, but I use it often enough that it takes up the space that it does, and I don't really mind that. Here's part of the first countertop that's going. Both of these jobs that I have going over the next 6 weeks or so are countertops. This one's made out of birch, and the customer wants the grain, what I call cut in half. So basically they want like boards like this is how they're coming from the mill or the lumber yard. And they just wanted the grain pattern broken up a little bit, not like a butcher block style, but just didn't want the continuous grain pattern from individual boards or from wider boards. So this panel is made up of 7 joints. The other half is made up of 6. Actually, no, that one's 7 as well. Wait a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 7. So I tried to do a 12 joint glue up with the help of one other person. It didn't go that well. I had to cut one board out of the middle, and that's okay. I had a little bit of waste. I really think about 7 is about what you can do. Maybe 8, but if you have help of one other person for a long glue up like this, you can get them aligned pretty nicely so you're not taking off a bunch of thickness when you do the sanding and that kind of thing. So I'll flatten both of these panels. I'll rough flatten them, what I call it, and then from there glue them back together, and that'll be the final width. 38 deep and then 128 long with breadboard ends, and the breadboard ends are going to be supported by a cabinet base. So even though they're going to be 18 inches deep, they'll be nicely supported so that joint won't be stressed at all. So this is the one job that's going. The other job that I have going is an ash countertop, and that is this guy right here. I really like working with ash. Walnut's probably my favorite just because it is beautiful, but if somebody wants a specific stain color or whatever, I find ash takes stain really well and you can control the color really well. So this is going to be kind of an interesting, this one's a little bit of a tricky stain actually. I'm taking 3 different stains in order to get the color that the customer wants. This one also has breadboard ends that are done with a domino integral mortise and tenon joint. I'm not going to pin these dominoes. I did glue in the center third, and then when it's clamped, this is actually there's going to be a little bit of a joint here with the domino with glue on both sides, and then there's better videos explaining this on YouTube than what I'll go into, but the customer wants a piece of metal strapping laying over the top of that joint, so that strap's also going to wrap around the corner, and that's going to give me a little bit of a stopping point, so to speak, on the expansion of the center table. And I'm also going to have to figure out how to float that strap so it's attached to one piece, not the other, to keep it from kind of binding as the main field of the table expands and contracts in the opposite direction of the breadboard end. But anyway, that's a quick run through of this shop. Wanted to say thanks everybody for watching. Hopefully you enjoy these kinds of videos, and I can kind of keep these going every now and then, and hopefully have some more build style videos as well. But thanks for watching. Alright, this is just a real quick video of the new shop. It's going to give me 300 more square feet than what I have now that I can dedicate 100% to furniture making. So it's pretty rough right now, but the plan is over the next couple of months to get it insulated and wired, and all of this stuff will be leaving. This is the previous owners. So I'll just take a quick video of it so I have a before and after. Right now the measurements on this are 900 square feet. So just a simple building, and we're gonna be able to expand this to 1,600 square feet is the plan.
You haven't gone through 10 years of it. Oh my God, this is wonderful.